Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to look into what makes someone a killer and why do they kill people, because we see these people, they go missing, they're not found, or they get killed and they don't know who did it or why. And we wonder, why would somebody kill somebody? And we don't understand because, we have empathy and we love. And you imagine, if someone, maybe they've been abused, because I knew someone and they wanted to kill people. They told me that they had been beaten they had been beaten every day with a dog leash while they were told that they loved them. And the way they acted, I believe that they were sexually abused as well. So they were mentally kind of disconnected. They didn't have that empathy that other people feel. They would, look in all appearances. They were clean cut, decent clothes. They looked like an average normal person. And then they would go to that extra mile to try to keep up appearances. And then they would talk to people differently. They would talk to people so nicely, like they wanted to help them, and then laugh behind their back, like, ha ha ha, they believe that. Or they would go out of their way to do something mean to somebody, maybe making them go without food or something like that, and then they would laugh about it because they thought it was so funny that they were able to do that. So they don't have that same personality. And I don't know if they ever killed anybody, but I knew they wanted to. They would look for people that where they had the opportunity to kill people. So you have to imagine that somebody wants to kill people and they're looking everywhere. They go planning and thinking, oh, someday I'm going to kill people. So they see a homeless person and they make a mental note and think, well, there's someone who would be easy to kill, and how long would it take before anyone even noticed they were gone? Or they might see somebody that's hiking. You go someplace where there are hikers and they think, oh, they'll think they went hiking and disappeared, so they won't even, if they can't find the body, they won't know what happened to him. They won't even know they killed him. Or they realize it's hunting season and they think, oh, hunters that go alone in the middle of nowhere, that's an opportunity, and they think they can get away with it. People who go missing, but their cars left behind, often with the keys still in them. Some near places where they could have gone jogging or hitchhiking, perhaps killed by a stranger. Some people may have just moved into a new neighborhood, making you think that a neighbor did it, or perhaps they left donuts in the car as if they could have been followed home from the donut shop, or maybe, like I said, someone in the neighborhood, or that was visiting someone in the neighborhood. Some killers seem to look for opportunities, and maybe they hitchhike or they pick up hitchhikers looking for elderly driving alone, following them home. Maybe they look for homeless people, people walking alone that they can offer them a ride, people leaving bars or even their neighbor's house, or they see them in the neighborhood walking alone every day and they look for that opportunity. The ones looking for an opportunity may not care if they are male or female. Some killers target certain male or female victims and may even target an age group. They may stick to a pattern, maybe they have their fantasy ritual that they carry out. But sometimes people go to file for a divorce or break up with someone and they murder them because maybe they don't want to pay, they don't want to lose their house, maybe they don't want to lose their children. Maybe they're upset about that and they have that mentality of killing people anyway, so they think, oh, well, this is the person I'm going to kill. Sometimes people want to get even with someone who divorced them, and they may target their children after the divorce just to hurt them. Some people kill out of, they might have that mentality already of wanting to kill people, so that's what they do. Some people kill people out of gang violence or road rage. Some people are abused, and then one day they just snap, killing people, and sometimes themselves after the fact as some sort of message to their abuser who doesn't even get the message or feel any blame because maybe they're narcissists and they're like, surprised that that happened. Sometimes people start doing drugs and get killed by their friends who are also using drugs. Some people kill out of jealousy and envy. Some people even look for jobs where they feel like they can kill people and get away with it because, they're thinking and they're trying to figure out how they can kill and get away with it. People that commit other crimes try to get jobs where they can get away with it. So why wouldn't somebody that wants to kill people do that as well? Some people, though, kill in a moment of just uncontrollable anger and rage. They just get so mad and they snap, and then you may have someone that hits someone or abuses them, and then one day, oops, I didn't mean to kill you. So that happens, if people are being abused. Oftentimes it ends up leading to murder. There are some people that become obsessed with people and stalk them until they kill them. Some killers carefully hide the bodies. Some leave them where they are. Some hide them under their homes. And some just toss the bodies of their victims along the roadside like they're common trash. Some people may create like a ritual, a way of killing people, and they may repeat that ritual. However, However they decide to murder a person, they take their lives away, their futures, and they leave devastation behind in the minds and the hearts of their loved ones, and often even those investigating the case. Because it's so upsetting. The unsolved cases creep into the minds of loved ones and detectives who long for closure. They need to know what sort of monster has done this and why. Why would somebody do this to their loved one or this person? Even a compassionate person who comes across the cases just briefly may feel sadness, may cry for the loss of the stranger, and may even have nightmares. I know I often have nightmares. So this is from the FBI.gov, and it talks about, you might want to go read it. If you want to go read it, you can look for it. They have a printable version, and you can see the address in the upper left-hand corner. And it has a message from the director. It says, every day law enforcement officers across America are called to respond to murders. Each homicide case is tragic, but there are few cases more heart-rending and more difficult to understand than that of a serial murder. For years, law enforcement investigators, academics, mental health experts, and the media have studied serial murder from Jack the Ripper in the late 1800s to the sniper killings in 2002. And from the Zodiac killer in California to the BTK killer in Kansas, these diverse groups have long attempted to understand the complex issues related to serial murder investigations. Until the Serial Murder Symposium, however, there have been few attempts to reach a consensus on some of these issues. This monograph presents the findings and collective wisdom of a multidisciplinary group of experts who brought their individual experience and insights to the table. Our hope is that it will give you new ideas and new resources as you continue your important work. The FBI is committed to contributing to the understanding of these horrific acts. The FBI's National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime stands ready to assist our state, local, and international partners. We believe the best way to combat any threat, be it terrorism, gang violence, or serial murder, is to combine our knowledge and resources with those of our partners and to work as a team. I am grateful for the partnerships that helped spur this symposium and for the partnerships that were formed as a result. I deeply appreciate the work that went into this publication. I would like to thank all of those who participated for their willingness to share their dedication, time, and expertise. I believe it will be invaluable to our collective ability to understand, respond to, and hopefully prevent serial murder. And it talks about the acknowledgments, and you can pause this and read it, and it talks about the foreword. And I don't want to read all of it because this will be forever. There's the National Center for Analysis of Violent Crime. There's an introduction. And this one says, Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work, the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers, just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife is so nice and sharp I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Well, that's horrific. And you can't even imagine that somebody would even think like that because that's just not the way of our thinking. So, it says these murders, Jack the Ripper, have become synonymous with serial murder. This case spawned many legends concerning serial murder and the killers who commit it. In the 1970s and 1980s, serial murder cases such as the Green River Killer, Ted Bundy, and BTK sparked a renewed public interest in serial murder, which blossomed in the 1990s after the release of films such as Silence of the Lambs. Much of the general public's knowledge concerning serial murder is a product of Hollywood productions. Storylines are created to heighten the interest of audiences rather than to accurately portray serial murder. By focusing on the atrocities inflicted on victims by deranged offenders, the public is captivated by the criminals and their crimes. This only lends more confusion to the true dynamics of the serial murder. Law enforcement professionals are subject to the same misinformation from a different source. The use of anecdotal information. Professionals involved in serial murder cases, such as investigators, prosecutors, and pathologists, may have limited exposure to serial murder. Their experience may be based upon a single murder series, and the factors in that case are extra related to other serial murders. As a result, certain stereotypes and misconceptions take root regarding the nature of serial murder and the characteristics of serial killers. A growing trend that compounds the fallacies surrounding serial murder is the talking heads phenomenon, giving credibility by the media. These self-proclaimed authorities profess to have an expertise in serial murder. They appear frequently on television and in the print media and speculate on the motive for the murders and the characteristics of the possible offender without being privy to the facts of the investigation. Unfortunately, inappropriate comments may perpetuate perceptions concerning serial murder and impair law enforcement's investigative efforts. It was decided by a majority of the attendees to issue a formal statement of a position regarding the media's use of these types of individuals. The position statement is included in Section X of this monograph. So, and I'm not going to read all of it. It says myth, serial killers are dysfunctional loners. The majority of serial killers are not reclusive, social misfits who live alone. And see, I can compare that to the person that I knew, and they were funny, they were good looking, they were attractive, and they weren't like they were not ugly in any sense. And I don't know if they ever killed anybody. I just know that they were the type of person who wanted to. They had the tenant, they talked about it all the time, and they had been abused, so they didn't have the empathy that most people have. So I compare what I know, and to me, that's somebody to me that possibly could have gone on to be a serial killer, but hopefully not. Hopefully they didn't, It says they're not It says they're not monsters and may not appear strange, but to me, I don't know. Somebody that kills somebody is a monster, whether they look like it or not. Many serial killers hide in plain sight within their community. Serial murderers often have families and homes. They're gainfully employed. They appear to be normal members of the community because many serial murderers can blend in so effortlessly. They are oftentimes overlooked by law enforcement and the public. Robert Yates killed 17 prostitutes in Spokane, Washington area during the 1990s. He was married, he had 5 children, he lived in a middle-class neighborhood, and was a decorated U.S. Army National Guard helicopter pilot. During the time period of the murders, Yates routinely patronized prostitutes, and several of his victims knew each other. Yates buried one of his victims in his yard beneath his bedroom window. Yates was eventually arrested and pled guilty to 13 of the murders. The Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, confessed to killing 48 women. It makes it sound like he might have killed a lot more people. But it says he confessed to killing 48 women over a 20-year time period in Seattle, Washington area. He had been married 3 times and was still married at the time of his arrest. He was employed as a truck painter for 32 years. He attended church regularly, he read the Bible at home and at work, and he talked about religion with coworkers. Ridgway also frequently picked up prostitutes and had sex with them throughout the time period in which he was killing. The BTK killer, Dennis Rader, killed 10 victims in and around Wichita, Kansas. He sent 16 written communications to the news media over a 30-year period, taunting the police and the public. He was married with 2 children. He was a Boy Scout leader. He served honorably in the U.S. Air Force. He was employed as a local government official, and he was president of his church. This says myths. Serial killers are all white males. And then it goes on to talk about different serial killers who are not white males and the different areas they live in. So, and then this one says myths, serial killers are only motivated by sex. If they're going to kill people, maybe they, and this is maybe me going out on a limb and just giving my opinion without having the knowledge that I should have, but maybe they want to kill people and they just decide that while they're doing it, they want to fulfill sexual fantasies. But this talks about different people that there are different people that kill for other reasons that aren't even motivated by sex. They may not even do anything sexual to their people they kill. Because there are a lot of different motivations for serial murders, including anger, thrill, financial gain, attention seeking. I would think, some people might kill people out of jealousy. In the Washington, D.C. area serial sniper case, and this was somebody that was a sniper it talks about, it says they were able to terrorize the greater Washington, D.C. metro area for 3 weeks, shooting 13 victims, killing 10 of them. They communicated with the police, leaving notes, and attempted to extort money to stop the shooting. And it says they're suspected to have killed a lot of other people and had done other shootings in 7 other states. It says Dr. Michael Swangle, a former U.S. Marine ambulance worker and physician, was a healthcare employee. So here he wants to kill people so he gets a job in the healthcare. He was convicted of only 4 murders in New York and Ohio, although he is suspected of having poisoned and killed 35 to 50 people throughout the United States and on the continent of Africa. It says his motivation for the killings was intrinsic and never fully identified. See, to me, it sounds like he just wanted to kill people and he was just looking for a job where he thought he could get away with it. It says, interesting, Swango kept a scrapbook filled with newspaper and magazine clippings about natural disasters in which many people were killed. So you're thinking that he's keeping this because of the people that were killed in it, but you look at that, natural disasters, storms, This is people running around that need a ride, people that, could go missing and nobody would know what happened to them. So if he wanted to kill people, this would be possibly a way where he could kill people and he could get away with it and nobody would notice they were even missing because it's a natural disaster. So that might have been why he was keeping those articles. It might not have been like how many people died and how they died and to read about it, but it might have been. It might have been. So yeah, that so even though it says it's not motivated by sex, he might have gotten some kind of sexual fulfillment from it. Paul Reed killed at least 7 people during fast food restaurant robberies in Tennessee. So did he go to rob them and then kill them, or did he think, oh, while I'm robbing it, I'm going to kill them so that I can kill people? So you don't know. After gaining control of the victims, he either stabbed or shot them. It says the motivation was primarily witness elimination. Reed's purpose in committing the robberies was financial gain, and some of the ill-gotten gains were used to purchase a car. But I would have thought he could have robbed places without having to kill people and hid himself enough so that they didn't see what he looked like. Most serial killers have very defined geographic areas of operation. They conduct their killings within comfort zones that are often defined by an anchor point, maybe their place of residence, employment, a residence of a relative. Serial murders will at times spiral their activities outside of their comfort zone when their confidence has grown enough through experience to avoid detection. Very few serial murderers travel interstate to kill, and I don't know what you consider very few, but or how far they go. It might depend on their work. It might depend on their time that they have. The few serial killers who do travel interstate to kill fall into a few categories. They're people who move from place to place, maybe homeless individuals who are transient, individuals whose employment lends itself to interstate or transnational travel, such as truck drivers or those in military service. Maybe they have money coming in because they might have regular money coming in so that they don't need to work full time, so that they have the opportunity to travel as well. They might have different resources of finances coming in. The difference between these types of offenders and other serial murderers is the nature of their traveling lifestyle, which provides them with many zones of comfort in which to operate. And maybe a truck driver gets the job and decides to become a truck driver because they want to be able to kill people and they want to be able to travel, so maybe that people won't notice that they're traveling, and that way they can do it. Because like I said, I think people that want to kill people look for jobs where they think they can get away with it. It says it's a myth that serial killers can't stop killing. It says they can stop. It says it has been widely believed that once serial killers start killing, they cannot stop. There are, however, some serial killers who stop murdering altogether before being caught. In these instances, there are events or circumstances in offenders' lives that inhibit them from pursuing more victims. These can include increased participation in family activities, sexual substitution, or other diversion. It says the BT killer, Dennis Rader, murdered 10 victims between 1974 and 1991. And then he didn't kill any other victims prior to being captured in 2005 after that. So he just completely stopped killing. During interviews conducted by law enforcement, he admitted to engaging in erotic activities as a substitute for his killings, so he just decided to do something else. Jeffrey Gorton killed his first victim in 1986, and he didn't kill his next victim till 1991, and he did not kill another victim at all, and he was captured in 2002. So he engaged in cross-dressing and found masturbatory activities as well as consensual sex with his wife in the interim. So, myth all serial killers are insane or evil, geniuses. Another myth that exists is that serial killers have either a debilitating mental condition or they're extremely clever or intelligent. They may not be that clever or intelligent at all. They may not even have, some of them may not even be able to read. As a group, serial killers suffer from a variety of personality disorders, including psycho. Why can't I pronounce that all of a sudden? Psychopathy? I don't know why I can't pronounce that all of a sudden. It's like I just lost the word. Antisocial personality and others. Most, however, are not adjudicated as insane under the law. The media has created a number of fictional serial killer geniuses who outsmart law enforcement at every turn. Like other populations, however, serial killers range in intelligence from borderline to above average levels. You really, to think that you're smarter than the law enforcement or the people that's investigating it, that's to me, that's crazy. To me, that's crazy if you think you're smarter than everybody else, or they're not going to catch you or figure it out, or they're not going to realize that you're doing this. Serial killers want to get caught. That's a myth. Why would they want to go to jail? Offenders committing a crime for the first time are inexperienced. They gain experience and confidence with each new offense, eventually succeeding with few mistakes or problems. While most serial killers plan their offenses more thoroughly than other criminals, the learning curve is very steep. They must select, target, approach, control, and dispose of their victims. The logistics involved in committing a murder and disposing of the body can become very complex, especially when there are multiple sites involved. As serial killers can tend to continue to offend without being captured, they can become empowered, feeling like they will never be identified. They may feel like they're smarter than other people. As the series continues, the killers may begin to take shortcuts when committing their crimes. This often causes the killers to take more chances, leading to identification by law enforcement. It is not that serial killers want to get caught, they feel like they can't get caught. Some of them watch for the cameras while they're considering. They'll be like looking, oh, there's cameras at these red lights. Oh, there's cameras at these intersections. And they may not realize that, hunters leave trail cams up to watch, to follow, to see, and you may not even see them because a lot of them are camouflaged to see which way the deer go so that they can be able to shoot the deer. There are people that have trail cams in their yard, and trail cams have night vision and they have sound, and you may not be able to see them or even notice that they're even there. So, and then other people have cameras in their homes, outside of their homes. So many people have cameras. Even people have cameras in their cars when they're driving on their motorcycles so that they can capture things in their RVs. So, nowadays, serial killers not getting caught, it's going to be really difficult for them. And people that go hiking and do things, they may not even notice people with high-tech cameras that are trying to get shots, and good images. And with hunters, they have guns with scopes where you can see so far that you may not even know that they're there. So there's a good chance they might actually get caught, even though they think they're not going to, because there's a lot of things to consider that they may not even actually consider. So. And this is the definition of a serial murder. In the past 30 years, multiple definitions of serial murder have been used by law enforcement clinics. And it talks about that. I don't want to go into all the definitions. So, but you can pause this and read it if you want to, because this video is already 30 minutes long almost. So, but sometimes, and I'm going to scroll down past the end of that one. But this one talks about one or more offenders, two or more murder victims. So it talks about the differences, and you can read that. Because, it's pretty interesting, but it's just so long. It says, following the arrest of a serial killer, the question is always asked, how did this person become a serial murderer? The answer lies in the development of the individual from birth to adulthood. Specifically, the behavior a person displays is influenced by life experiences, as well as certain biological factors. Serial murderers, like all human beings, are the product of their hereditary, their upbringing, and the choices they make throughout development. Causality, which is cause and effect, if you look up the definition. So it's as it relates to the development of serial murderers was discussed at length by the symposium attendees. Causality can be defined as a complex process based on biological, social, and environmental factors. In addition to these factors, individuals have the ability to choose to engage in certain behaviors. They choose. The collective outcome of all of these influence separates individual behavior from generic human behavior. Since it is not possible to identify all the factors that influence normal behavior, it's similarly, I don't know why I'm having a problem. It's not possible to identify all the factors that influence an individual to become a serial murderer. Human beings are in a constant state of development from the moment of conception until death. Behavior is affected by stimulation received and processed by the central nervous system. So it talks further about that because you have all these things that you go through. So you don't, you know, so it's a lot of factors. It says predisposition to serial killing, much like other violent offenses, is biological, social, and psychological in nature, and it is not limited to any specific characteristic or trait. The development of a serial killer involves a combination of these factors, which exists together in rare confluence in certain individuals. They have the appropriate biological predisposition molded by their psychological makeup, which is present at a critical time in their social development. There are no specific combination of traits or characteristics shown to differentiate serial killers from other violent offenders. There is no generic template for serial killers. Serial killers are driven by their own unique motives or reasons. Serial killers are not limited to any specific demographic group, such as their sex, their age, their race, or their religion. The majority of serial killers who are sexually motivated, erotic, I don't know why I can't pronounce that word either. They fantasize violence during their development. I think that's what that means. For them, violence and sexual gratification are inexplicably intertwined in their psyche. More research is needed to identify specific pathways of development that produce serial killers. And this is just a very small portion of this that I've read, and it's already been 30 minutes. So you can pause it and you can read it if you want to. Because it just goes on. So it says all psychopaths do not become serial murderers. Rather, serial murderers may possess some or many of the traits consistent with psychopathy. Psychopaths who commit serial murder do not value human life and are extremely callous in their interactions with their victims. This is particularly evident in sexually motivated serial killers who repeatedly target, stalk, assault, and kill without a sense of remorse. They have no remorse. However, psychopathy alone does not explain the motivations of a serial killer. And this talks about here, it says the affective traits include lack of remorse and or guilt, shallow affect, a lack of empathy, and a failure to accept responsibility. The lifestyle behaviors include stimulation-seeking behavior, impulsivity, irresponsibility, parasitic orientation, and the lack of realistic life goals. So it talks about, their different things. And that's another thing. You have mediums or psychics that that are full of empathy, full of love, full of compassion. And people that don't have this compassion do not realize that these mediums that find that solve crimes, they are able to do the things that they're able to do because they don't have this empathy. And without that empathy, they don't realize that there are other people out there that can see them and see them for what they are, and that maybe they can, maybe without cameras, without having the ability to have the knowledge, that they can see what they're doing or where they take somebody or where they hide the body because they have empathy and they have they're just able to do it somehow, and that may be something that they don't believe or even realize is even possible because they don't have that empathy. So then you hear about mediums that solve crimes because they're able to, because they're full of empathy. So it's like a completely different person. So a psychopath that doesn't have empathy isn't going to be able to understand something like that. It says psychopaths are not sensitive to I don't altruistic interview themes such as sympathy for their victims or remorse or guilt over their crimes. They do possess certain personality traits that can be exploited, particularly their inherent narcissism, their selfishness, their vanity. Specific themes in past successful interviews of psychopathic serial killers focused on praising their intelligence, their cleverness, and their skill in evading capture. Attendees recognize that more research is needed concerning the links between serial murder and psychopathy in order to understand the frequent and degree of psychopathy among serial murderers. This may assist law enforcement in understanding and identify serial murderers. And this talks about the motivations. So I might do a few of these videos, but I need to stop right here, and maybe this will be part 1. So, and then maybe I'll continue this later because this is very interesting. And don't forget to pray for the families and the loved ones of the victims of the serial killers. And don't forget to pray for the serial killers also, because some of them may have suffered a lot in their life that have if they would have had love, and maybe if they would have not been abused and hurt over and over, if they were hurt, because some of them were abused, maybe they wouldn't have ended up this way. And maybe the people that abused them were also abused. So I think we should stop and we should pray for all of them, the victims of the crimes and the person committing the crimes. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.